The late sun slants through my parents' front windows when I step inside, keys still in my hand, the air steeped in lemon cleaner and baked cheese. I'm here for a quick pickup, 5 minutes, shoes on, boys hugged, home. That's the script I promised myself on the drive over. A voice splits the script. Let Claire's kids eat first. The others can have what's left. My mother's. A light laugh follows. My sister. They'll be fine. Kids like that don't need much. The hallway becomes a tunnel. I take 3 soundless steps and angle myself to see the dining room. Claire's children sit at the table with steaming lasagna on the good china. Beyond them, the kitchen glows. My boys, Eli and Noah, sit on the tile, cross-legged, paper plates sagging under cold sandwiches. I feel it before I name it. A hard, cold stillness in my ribs. Then heat climbs my throat. My father lowers his newspaper an inch, just enough to see. They need to learn their place, he says, mild as weather. Eli looks up and finds me. He doesn't speak. He doesn't have to. 8 years old and already fluent in the language of being less. Boys, I say. My voice barely clears my throat. Get your backpacks. 5 heads turn. My mother's mouth opens into a bright, artificial smile. Oh, we didn't hear you come in. She lifts a mug as if toasting me. Coffee? Claire aligns a knife with the edge of her plate, eyes down. They told us they wanted sandwiches, she tells the flatware. Noah rises, the paper plate tipping, a pale tomato sliding under the cabinet. Can we go home now? He asks, small and tight. Yes, I say, and the word is a door unlocking. For a beat, no one moves. Then Eli is up, steadying his brother with a practiced hand at the elbow. They don't look at the food. They simply collect their things with the efficiency of people who have done this before. My father snaps the paper straight. Don't make a scene. It's a warning he's used my whole life, a leash hidden in manners. A checkbook flickers in memory, mine. Roofs, minivans. Temporary help. 9 years of it. I feel the weight pressed down like wet wool. We're leaving, I say. We won't be back until someone can explain why my sons eat on the floor. My mother's smile thins. You're sensitive today, she says, as if sensitivity were a stain to treat with cold water. Sit. Let's talk. No. The word lands squarely between us. Eli, shoes. Noah, jacket. We move down the hallway past the gallery of photos. I've seen these frames 1,000 times. Today they sharpen. Claire's family centered and laughing. Me and Malcolm and the boys caught at the edges, half faces, an elbow, a sleeve. Croppable. At the door, my mother touches my arm. Sweetheart, I step away. Not today. Outside, the door clicks shut. Final. Noah's fingers slip into mine. Eli stands between us and the house. In the driver's seat, I am still for a count of 5. The boys buckle themselves without words. My hands rest on the wheel, but I don't turn the key. I catalog the feeling in my chest because I know I'll need it later. It is not panic. It is not confusion. It is something solid, like a new bone knitting under a bruise. Are we in trouble? Noah whispers. No, I say. We are going home. Eli watches me in the rearview mirror, searching for the truth. I let him see it. Anger, certainty, and the thin line of fear that comes when you step off a familiar cliff. I pull away from the curb. The house shrinks in the mirror. My phone buzzes. My mother's name fills the screen. I don't answer. I don't mute it either. I let it ring, proof that a choice has been made, and that this time the choice is me, and the 2 boys breathing in the quiet behind me. At the first stop sign, I look over my shoulder. When we get home, I tell them, we're having real dinner at the table. With napkins? Noah asks. With napkins, I say, hearing my voice steady. And seconds. Eli nods once. It's not a smile, not yet, but it is agreement. A small treaty signed in the back seat. The light turns green. I drive. The garage light hums when I pull in. The boys are half asleep in their seats, shoes kicked off somewhere between the freeway and home. For a second, I just sit there, engine ticking, my hands locked around the steering wheel. The air smells like tomato sauce and cold fear. Come on, you two, I say softly. Dinner number 2. Eli yawns. Noah blinks hard. Inside, the house feels too quiet, the kind of quiet that exposes everything you've been avoiding. I set out real plates and serve them a better meal. We eat in near silence. Eli chews carefully, glancing toward me as if gauging permission. Noah asks if he can have seconds. With napkins, I remind him. His grin flickers, uncertain, then widens when I hand him the folded square of cloth. That single smile keeps me upright. When they finish, I walk them upstairs. Teeth brushed, pajamas on. I linger by the doorway while they crawl under their blankets. Noah's turtle nightlight paints the ceiling green. Mom, Eli murmurs, are they mad at us? No, I say. They're wrong, not mad. He studies me, wanting more, but I can't give it yet. Sleep, baby. Big day tomorrow. The door clicks behind me. Downstairs, Malcolm waits at the kitchen table, laptop closed, mug in his hand. His eyes track my every movement, the slow removal of my earrings, the deep breath that won't settle. He doesn't ask right away. That's his kindness. Silence first, space second. I sink into the chair across from him. The wood is cool through my blouse. They fed our boys on the floor, I say, voice barely audible. Cold sandwiches, while Claire's kids ate at the table. He doesn't react with shock, only a small tightening around his jaw. You sure? I saw it, heard everything. Kids like that don't need much, my mother's words. The sound of them leaves a taste like pennies. Malcolm sets the mug down. The faint clink is louder than it should be. I told you something was off, he says gently. But you wanted to believe they'd change. I thought it was just old-fashioned habits. Maybe awkwardness. The confession breaks something loose. Tears come fast, hot, uninvited. They've been doing it for years, haven't they? He reaches for my hand. Jackie, they've been drawing lines you refuse to see. I flinch at the truth of it. The tears stop as suddenly as they started, leaving only a burn behind my eyes. How many times did I leave them there, thinking they were safe? He squeezes my fingers. You didn't know. But I should have. My voice cracks. I wrote checks, I made excuses. God, I defended them to you. He says nothing, letting the silence fill with every unsaid I told you so. Across the counter, the microwave clock flips to 10:47. Time feels suspended, like we're sitting inside the bruise of the evening. I can't keep pretending, I whisper. Not after tonight. Then don't. His words are simple, almost too easy, but something inside me recognizes them as truth. The quiet kind, the kind that changes the air. I stand, moving to the sink, rinsing dishes just to keep my hands busy. The boys' plates clatter softly. In the window's reflection, I see us. Me, hunched and trembling. Him, steady and still. I'm scared, I admit. I know, he says, but scared doesn't mean wrong. The faucet drips in a slow rhythm. I count 3 drops before I find my voice again. Tomorrow, I'm going through every transfer, every loan, every so-called favor. I need to see it all laid out. Malcolm nods. Then we start there. For the first time all evening, I inhale fully. The air stings, but it's clean. I shut off the light and follow him down the hall. At the doorway to our bedroom, he pauses, hand brushing mine. Whatever you find, you're not alone in it. I believe him. That's the breaking point. Not just discovering what they've done, but realizing I finally have permission to stop carrying it alone. Upstairs, the house settles, the boys breathing even behind their door. I crawl into bed beside Malcolm, the dark soft around us. Somewhere in my chest, a decision takes shape. Quiet, sharp, and certain. Tomorrow, the reckoning begins. Morning arrives like a weight. The house is quiet except for the soft thud of the heater kicking on and the distant creak of the boys turning in their beds. I wake before the alarm, eyes open to a ceiling I barely see, replaying tile floors and paper plates. Downstairs, the kitchen is gray with early light. I open the laptop and the screen flares too bright. Spreadsheets, bank portals, email archives, tabs bloom like bruises. I tell myself I'm only organizing. Naming the thing before you meet it feels safer. I start with the transfers. Search, Zelle, Mom. Search, ACH, Dad. A neat column unfolds. Dates, amounts, memo lines that read like a bad script. Roof leak, property taxes jumped again, short-term bridge, Claire's van died, church fundraiser, medical copay, back rent just this once. I copy, paste, sort. Numbers slide into place, obedient, unashamed. The first total is already ugly. I breathe out slowly, then add the checks I mailed when online transfers didn't feel appropriate for large amounts. I find scans in my email to myself, a breadcrumb trail I didn't know I was leaving. $6,800 for the roof, signed with a smiley face because my mother texted a heart after I offered. $5,000 for the minivan repairs, marked for safety of the kids, as if safety were a receipt I could file. Malcolm pads in, hair sleep mussed, a t-shirt hanging soft at the collarbone. He doesn't speak. He sets a mug by my elbow, steam ribboning up, chamomile hiding its herbs under the smell of toasted bread. His hand brushes my shoulder and moves away, making room for whatever I have to become. I open the mortgage app. The cosigner tag sits there like a stain I finally notice in daylight. $260,000. Their house. My name. My cursor hovers. My chest does the small bird flutter I reserve for doctor's offices and principal calls. I take a screenshot and drop it into a folder titled Ledger of Truth. The phrase steadies me. Truth, not guilt. Guilt is a fog. Truth is a line. More tabs. I pull texts from years back. My mother's, "You're our rock, sweetheart," followed 2 messages later by, "We're a bit short until Friday." My father's, "Proud of you, kiddo," neatly bookended by, "Tax bill's a surprise this year." Claire's, "Those boys," when she means my sons, never their names. I paste the worst of it into a note and label it pattern, language. A memory arrives, unwanted but suddenly precise. Christmas morning, Claire's kids in matching pajamas tearing into presents while we were instructed to stop by after noon. Our special family time is in the morning. I remember explaining it away to Malcolm as tradition. I add a line under incidents, exclusion, and type 8 years of afternoons. Clicks stack up like metronome ticks. Transfers from the month Eli had pneumonia. Will come by once he's not contagious. Paired with a $900 short bridge to my parents the same week. The month my gallbladder tried to kill me. Too busy to watch the boys. Paired with a $1,400 surprise deductible from my father. I don't cry. The numbers won't let me. They keep asking to be placed, named, totaled. I build a table. Date, amount, request, outcome, notes. It feels bureaucratic until the rightmost column fills with the sentences I never said out loud. Said yes while pumping breast milk in a bathroom at work. Said yes while Malcolm missed a faculty mixer to pick up the boys. Said yes on the phone in a Target parking lot because Mom sounded small. Each note pins a memory like a specimen under glass. Food? Malcolm asks quietly. Later. I don't look up because I'm scared if I stop I'll start crying and never end. He kisses my temple and retreats. The floor settles under his steps, a second heartbeat for the house. At 9:13 a.m., I add a formula to the bottom cell. The cursor spins. The column hums. Then the number locks into view. $141,000. I don't gasp. I wouldn't have breath for it even if I tried. The figure is obscene in its plainness. It sits there without adjectives, without the years attached to it, a simple answer to a question I had been too afraid to ask. I copy the total to the ledger of truth and format it in red. Not to punish, just to see. Across the table, a framed school picture of Eli tilts slightly inside its stand. He's missing a front tooth, smiling like his mouth hasn't yet learned caution. Behind him, the wall clock ticks, small and neutral. The house is so calm I can hear the refrigerator motor cycling on and off. I scroll back through the ledger slowly, reading it like a story I didn't realize I was writing. I see the plot now. The cheerful hooks at the beginning of each request, the rising tension of "just this once," repeated as chorus, the climax of my silence, and now, maybe, the turn. I create one more sheet and title it Facts for Conversation. Not confrontation, conversation. Bullet points that don't need performance. 9 years of assistance totaling $141,000. No repayment. Mortgage co-signed. Ongoing liability in my name. Repeated exclusions of my family from special events. Language documenting bias toward my children. When I'm done, I sit back. My shoulders ache in a way that feels like standing up for too long. I close my eyes and exhale. Malcolm returns, sets a plate of toast beside the computer. How bad? I turn the screen toward him. He studies the total, then the headings, then my face. Okay, he says, not surprised, not outraged, just present. Now we know. Now we know. The sentence breaks the spell of fog that's clung to me for years. I save the file twice and email it to myself and to an account I keep for tax documents, the practical superstition of a woman who's been asked to be everyone else's safety net. I don't plan beyond that. Not yet. That belongs to later chapters of this story I'm finally willing to read. For today, the numbers are enough. They don't accuse. They don't apologize. They simply tell the truth. Morning sunlight drips through the blinds like honey I can't taste. The laptop still glows from last night's work, cells and numbers waiting like silent witnesses. I make coffee instead of tea today. I want something that bites. I should feel lighter after knowing the truth, but truth has a strange gravity. It doesn't lift you, it anchors you, keeps you from floating back into denial. I open my phone, scroll. Text threads stretch years deep. Hearts, emojis, guilt wrapped in endearments. You're our favorite daughter. We couldn't do this without you. So proud of the way you take care of family. Every line paired, in hindsight, with an invoice of emotion. Then the photos. There's the Easter cookout, Claire's family front and center in pastel perfection. Me, cropped tight at the edge, a hand on Eli's shoulder, my face cut off by a caption bubble that reads, "Blessed day with everyone." Except not everyone. Never really. I click through more. Christmas 2017, Claire's kids opening the same bikes my parents couldn't afford to buy for mine. A birthday post for Dad. The girls who keep me young. Only Claire's picture attached. My smile from that night hides behind the camera. I remember being the one taking the photo. I had thought it was love, that invisibility was what love required. My chest tightens. Nostalgia sneaks in disguised as warmth, but it curdles fast. I start copying screenshots into the ledger of truth, folder 2, emotional evidence. I tag each image with a single word: erasure, comparison, conditional, shame. The words feel sterile, manageable, the way numbers did yesterday. A memory rises uninvited. I'm 8, in the kitchen helping Mom peel potatoes. I drop one. It rolls under the stove. She sighs, long and theatrical. "Jackie, you have to be perfect, sweetheart. That's how people respect you." When I find the potato, it's shriveled, half gone. She makes me keep peeling. Perfection for respect. Respect for love. Love for silence. The trait has always been there. I close my eyes and see Malcolm at our wedding, nervous, handsome, proud, and my father shaking his hand too hard, smiling too wide. I'd told myself they were adjusting. What they were doing was performing. We were all performing, really. The kettle clicks off. I pour water over the grounds and watch the bloom rise like a dark confession. The smell fills the room, earthy and forgiving. I open an old email thread labeled Family Finances 2019. My father's message begins, "Your mother and I hate to ask," followed by 3 paragraphs of how much they've sacrificed, how Claire's family just doesn't have our means. I remember reading it at my office desk, the guilt pressing down like a hand on the back of my neck. I had wired $3,000 within the hour. I add the email to the folder. Rename, Love as Currency. When I turn around, Malcolm is leaning against the doorway. Shirt untucked, a slow blink behind his glasses. "You've been at this since dawn," he says. I can't stop. Every time I think I've reached the bottom, another layer shows up. He comes closer and places a hand on my shoulder. "You're not digging a grave. You're excavating the truth. There's a difference." I laugh, short and rough. "Feels the same." He tilts my chin until I meet his eyes. "One buries you, the other sets you free." The words settle somewhere deep. I nod, but I can't speak. My throat feels crowded. He gestures to the screen. "Save it, then step away. Eat something. The truth's not going anywhere." Reluctantly, I hit save. The files blink into neat alignment, evidence of affection that was never free. For a moment, I imagine handing them over like exhibits in a courtroom, but the image twists. I don't want revenge. I want understanding, strong enough to stand without their permission. At the counter, I take a bite of toast gone cold. "They really believed it was love," I whisper. "Maybe it was," Malcolm says, "just not the kind that knows how to give without taking." Outside, the neighborhood hums. Lawnmower, dogs, the rhythm of people who didn't spend the night rewriting their family. I close the laptop. The weight doesn't vanish, but it shifts, redistributes, becomes something I can carry. In the hallway mirror, I catch my reflection. My eyes look older, yes, but clearer. Behind me, the boys' artwork crowds the wall, stick figure families in every color of crayon. None of them cropped out, none erased. I breathe once, deep. The coffee tastes strong, bitter, alive. Evidence gathered, illusions fading. Love, it turns out, leaves a paper trail too. Morning arrives without drama, and somehow that's the sign I've been waiting for. No thunderclap, no revelation, just a steady certainty. It's time. A week of living with the ledger has taught me the numbers won't change. Only my next move can. I feed the boys, pack lunches, sign a field trip slip to the planetarium. Eli wants to sit beneath the fake stars until the real ones come out. Noah claims he knows 4 constellations already. Their ordinary voices steady me. After drop-off, I park in sunlight and carry that ordinariness into the kitchen like armor. I open my laptop. The ledger of truth waits on the desktop. Beside it, next steps, a checklist I made last night when sleep wouldn't come. Today, I'm here to put ink on it. First, cancel auto transfers. I log into the bank. Scheduled payments, recurring. There they are, stacked like calendar squares. First of the month to Linda and Gerald. Memo lines soft as lullabies. Support, bridge, help with taxes. My pulse jumps. I hover, then click pause. A confirmation box offers one last chance to keep everyone comfortable. I click confirm. The list goes gray. Second, remove bill pay access. Done. Third, change cosigner alerts so every notification comes only to me. Done. I take screenshots of everything and slide them into next steps. Evidence isn't just for them. It's for the future me who might doubt she was brave. Malcolm appears in the doorway, tie crooked, coffee in one hand. "You're doing it," he says. "I am." My voice sounds calm. Underneath, something small is shaking. "You know they'll come at you hard." "I know." I meet his eyes. "Remind me later this isn't cruelty." "It's not," he says. "It's oxygen." He kisses my forehead. "Text me when you've sent it." When the door closes, the house exhales. I draft a message to my parents. It starts as an apology. That's the muscle I've overdeveloped. I'm so sorry, but... Delete. I try again. Legalistic, stiff with terms and dates. Delete. I write like a daughter begging, then like a manager issuing policy. Delete, delete. I picture the boys under a domed ceiling, necks tipped back, and their paper plates on my parents' tile. My thumbs move without hesitation. Hi, Mom and Dad. I can't continue providing financial support. I've paused the transfers and removed my name from anything that allows new obligations. This is a permanent boundary for our family's well-being. I won't discuss finances further. Love, Jacqueline. I read it twice. It is plain. It is not cruel. It owes no defense. I press send. The message leaves like an exhale I didn't know I'd been holding. I set the phone face down and wait for the room to tilt. It doesn't. Sunlight pools on the floor. A neighbor's dog barks twice and stops. Ordinary time resumes, and inside it, I feel taller. Replies arrive fast. My mother. Sweetheart, is this about last week? We never meant... I turn the screen over. My father. Call me. Now. Claire. Are you serious? I fill a glass with water and drink all of it, the shock waking my mouth. Back to the checklist. Document steps. I add screenshots, timestamps, even the moment I hit send, 9:41 a.m., as if notarizing my own courage. Then I drag my mother's contact shortcut off the home screen. The icon wobbles. I press the X and watch it vanish. Not from my contacts, history matters, but from the altar of my thumb. I thaw chicken for dinner and text Malcolm. Sent. Doing okay. He replies with a single heart, then nothing more, which is exactly right. Not fanfare. Witness. On the counter, next steps sits open, patient. There will be a mortgage call, a credit freeze, conversations I can't avoid. There will be backlash that scrapes old shame until it stings. But right now there is this clean line drawn across a decade, crisp as paper torn in half. I breathe. The room feels bigger. The day keeps going. And for the first time in years, I feel the floor whole. The first text comes before sunrise. Mom. You must be exhausted, sweetheart. We know you didn't mean it that way. Let's talk later, okay? Love you. I stare at it in the dim light of my phone. The love you lands soft, sugar over poison. I set the phone down and keep making lunches for the boys. By the time I screw the lid onto Noah's thermos, 3 more messages appear. Mom. We just don't want this to get blown out of proportion. Mom. Claire's really hurt. You know she looks up to you. Mom. Money doesn't matter. It's about loyalty. I could reply. I don't. The silence feels thick and deliberate. By 8, Malcolm's out the door and the boys are off to school. I open my computer to work emails, but the phone vibrates across the counter. Dad. It rings until voicemail, then rings again, and again. On the 4th call, I let it go through, not to answer, but to record. His voice fills the kitchen, warm and sharp at once. Jacqueline, you've embarrassed this family. We raised you better. If your husband's putting ideas in your head, you tell him to stop. He pauses, as if waiting for me to flinch. Call me when you're ready to fix this mess. The message ends. I save it to a new folder. Backlash, audio. Label, emotional blackmail, paternal intimidation, tone calm. The act of naming steadies me. By noon, Claire's number flashes. I take a screenshot instead of answering. Then another text. Claire. I can't believe you do this to them after everything they've done. Who's going to help when they're sick? Claire. You've changed. I want to laugh at that. How often changed is just code for you stopped complying. Malcolm calls around lunch. How bad? They're cycling, I say. First concern, then guilt, now attack. Stay in the middle of the bridge, he says. It's his phrase for balance. Don't run, don't collapse, just stand. I'm documenting everything. Good, he pauses. Remember, no error, just boundaries. The words hum through me like a slow metronome. No error, just boundaries. I write it on a sticky note and slap it to the refrigerator door. Afternoon comes. I try to work, but the messages keep sliding across the screen like weather alerts. My mother again, voice trembling in a new voicemail. If you do this, your father's blood pressure will skyrocket. He's not a young man, Jacqueline. The manipulation is textbook, and yet my chest still aches. Even knowing the pattern doesn't stop the reflex. I walk to the sink and rinse my hands in cold water until the trembling stops. I listen to one last voicemail because curiosity wins. Sweetheart, my father says, his tone almost tender. We don't deserve this treatment. After all we've done, this is how you repay us? You should be ashamed. That word, ashamed, lands harder than the rest. It's the word that built my entire childhood. The one that made me good, quiet, useful. I press save, not delete. Evidence, not emotion. By evening, the boys are home. Their laughter fills the house like oxygen, clearing the stale air. I cook dinner while my phone buzzes across the counter until the battery dies. I don't charge it. The silence is glorious. After dishes, Malcolm wraps his arms around me from behind, chin on my shoulder. You okay? I think so, I say. It's strange. I keep waiting to break apart, but all I feel is lighter. That's what space feels like, he murmurs. Later, in bed, I scroll through my camera roll and find the photo I took of the sticky note. No error, just boundaries. I set it as my lock screen, so every time I wake the phone, I'll see the reminder before the chaos. Before sleep, I whisper it out loud, testing the sound of it in the dark. No error, just boundaries. The words feel less like defense now and more like a promise, to myself, to my boys, to the quiet that finally belongs to us. The knock comes just after noon. 3 quick raps, 1 sharp pause, then 2 more, Claire's rhythm. The sound tightens something behind my ribs. Through the peephole, her, hair too neat, eyes too bright, a fury wrapped in politeness. I open the door halfway. Wow, she says, stepping forward before I invite her. You're actually home. I usually am, I answer. She looks around, cataloging details, the boys' artwork on the wall, the smell of pasta sauce simmering. Cozy, she says, and the word sounds like an insult. I move to block the hallway. What do you need, Claire? Her purse lands on the counter with a thud. Mom's crying herself sick. Dad barely eats. They can't sleep. What the hell did you tell them? The truth, I say. That you're cutting them off? She laughs once, sharp. God, Jackie. Over what? A misunderstanding? You know how sensitive Mom is about the kids and the… Stop. The word comes out harder than I planned. Don't finish that sentence. She blinks. You're really doing this? Letting Malcolm's pride dictate everything? This isn't about Malcolm. Oh, please. She folds her arms. Ever since you married him, you've been… different. Distant. He's in your ear, making you hate your own family. I don't hate anyone, I say, but I'm done funding people who can't see my family as equal. She flinches, but only for a second. So this is about race now? Really? It's always been about respect, I say quietly, and the lack of it. Her jaw tightens. They're old. They don't mean things the way they sound. That excuse might have worked when I was 12, I say. It doesn't work now. She shakes her head. You're throwing away everything we built. We're supposed to take care of each other. I did, I remind her. For 9 years. Money isn't care. No, I agree. But it's what you all asked for every time you said you loved me. The silence that follows hums like an electrical current. Outside, a lawnmower starts, the engine droning through the tension. Claire takes a breath, lowers her voice to something syrupy. You think you're strong, but you're just angry. That's all this is. A tantrum. I study her face, the same high cheekbones as mine, the same small scar above the eyebrow from a childhood fall. For a moment, I see the little girl who once slept beside me during storms. But that girl is gone, replaced by a mirror I don't want to recognize. I'm not angry, I say. I'm done pretending anger is the only emotion women are allowed when we stop saying yes. She stares at me, mouth open but wordless. I step closer, voice steady now. You don't get to barge in here and tell me how to protect my kids. You don't get to decide when I've done enough. Jackie! No, I cut in, and the sound is final. You need to leave. Her nostrils flare. You'll regret this. I already did, I say. That's why it stops here. For a heartbeat, I think she might cry. Instead, she grabs her purse and marches toward the door. Mom was right. You've changed. I hope so, I answer. The door slams hard enough to rattle the picture frames. One tilts. Eli's watercolor of our family standing under a purple sun. I straighten it carefully. The house goes still again. Only the clock ticks. Small and stubborn. My pulse finally slows. At the window, I watch Claire's car reverse down the driveway. She doesn't look back. The kitchen smells faintly of basil and metal. I run the sink until the water runs cold and splash my face. The quiet returns, thick but clean. For a long time, I stand there with my palms flat on the counter, grounding myself. Then, out loud, softly, let them make noise. I dry my hands and lock the door. The click echoes like punctuation. I choose quiet. I whisper to the still air. And for the first time, the silence doesn't feel empty. It feels earned. Saturday slips in quietly, soft light flattening the lawn outside and turning the kitchen into a pale box. I decide we're baking, something slow and ordinary that takes up the whole morning. I set butter on the counter to soften and pull the mixing bowls from the low cabinet the boys can reach. Cookies? Noah asks, already dragging a chair to the counter like it's a lifeboat. Chocolate chip, I say, with reckless amounts of chips. Eli smiles at the word reckless. Can I measure? He says it like a favor he's offering me. We move like a small orchestra. Noah cracks eggs with the solemnity of a surgeon. Eli levels flour with a knife the way I taught him, gentle scrape, clean edge. The kitchen fills with the sound of spoons against bowls, the whisper of sugar pouring, the thump of cabinet doors. Malcolm drifts in, hair rumpled, mug in hand. Are there rules? He asks. Only one, I say. No eating the dough until I say so. Noah's hand freezes mid-air. He grins, guilty before the crime. We mix butter and sugar until they go pale and fluffy, then fold in eggs, vanilla, flour. The smell blooms warm and sweet. When I reach for the bag of chips, Noah speaks without looking up. Mom, he says, scooping batter off the beater with a fingertip. How come Grandma didn't call for my spelling test like she said? The beater stops mid-whir. Eli looks at me with that careful, older-than-8 face. Malcolm sets his mug down quietly. I turn the mixer off and set the beater aside. Sometimes, I say, aiming for truthful and gentle, grown-ups make promises they can't keep. Eli studies my face. Because they forgot, or because they didn't want to? I swallow. I think because they're still learning how to be better at loving people. Like practice? Noah asks. Like practice, I say. We portion dough onto the sheets. I hand Noah the smallest scoop and Eli the larger one because fairness sometimes means fitting the tool to the hand, not pretending hands are the same size. When the first tray slides into the oven, Eli speaks again, voice soft. Is it because of Dad? He asks, not looking at Malcolm but at me, like I am the translator between worlds. The room stills. I feel Malcolm's presence beside me, solid, calm, a yes without taking over. It's because some people get confused about what matters, I answer. They think being the same is what makes a family, but it's not. What is it then? Noah asks, licking a smear of dough from his wrist. Time, Malcolm says. Respect. Choosing each other on purpose. Eli's shoulders ease. I like choosing. I nod, relief a slow tide. We make small talk about school and constellations while the oven hums. When the timer dings, the cookies have that crinkled edge I love, centers soft as secret wishes. I transfer them to a rack and the boys circle like satellites. Now? Noah begs. Now, I say. And we eat cookies too hot for sense. Chocolate streaks their mouths like war paint. Noah hums dramatically. Eli closes his eyes for the first bite. Between cookies 2 and 3, Eli wipes his hands on a napkin and looks at me carefully. We don't have to go, he says. Go where? I ask, though I know. To Grandma and Grandpa's, he says. We don't have to visit if it makes you sad. The words land soft and heavy at once, the exact weight of mercy. My throat tightens. Is this what it means to break a cycle? That a child offers you the permission you never knew you needed? It doesn't make me sad to stay home with you, I say. It makes me feel safe. Safe is good, Noah declares. Safe and cookies. We laugh, and something in me unclenches that's been braced since childhood. We start a second tray. Eli arranges each scoop like a tiny planet. Noah presses exactly 3 extra chips into the top of every mound because he believes in luck you can count. While the cookies bake, we pull out Eli's science project. The assignment is to model the water cycle. He sketches curved arrows: evaporation, condensation, precipitation, collection. He narrates each stage, proud of the big words, drawing a cloud so puffy it looks like it will float off the page. Cycles are just patterns, he says matter-of-factly. But you can interrupt a pattern if you add something new. I stare at the arrow labeled collection, the water pooling where it's wanted. Yes, I say, you can. We build the diorama with cotton balls and blue paper, a glue stick's sweet chemical smell filling the air. Malcolm fashions a tiny sun from an orange bottle cap and sticks it in the corner at a jaunty tilt. The boys clap like he's done a magic trick. When the second tray cools, I pack a few cookies in a tin to bring to Malcolm's parents for dinner tomorrow. The gesture feels deliberate. Collection in a new place. Later, while the boys argue gently about who gets the last cookie, Eli glances up at me again. If Grandma calls, should I talk to her? If you want to, I say. You never have to talk to anyone who makes you feel small, not even grown-ups. He thinks about that. What if they say they're sorry? Then we listen, I answer, and we watch if their actions match their words. Like a science experiment, he says, pleased by the logic. Exactly. We clean up together. The kitchen goes back to ordinary, bowls stacked, counters wiped, sweetness lingering in the warm air. The boys drift to the living room to build a fort out of couch cushions. Malcolm slides an arm around my waist. You okay? He asks into my hair. I think so, I say. They already understand what took me 30 years to learn. That's the point, he whispers. You turned a lesson into a life. From the living room, Eli shouts, Evaporation is when the water disappears. And Noah counters, It doesn't disappear, it just becomes invisible for a while. Their fort collapses. They shriek with glee and start again. Invisible for a while. My parents' voices, the shame, the habit of apology, yes, maybe. But not gone, not forever. The difference now is the new thing we've added to the pattern. A boundary strong enough to hold. I tuck a stray curl behind my ear and breathe in the scent of sugar and vanilla, glue and paper. My boys' laughter stitching the house together. Healing, I realize, isn't about winning the argument. It's about baking cookies in a quiet kitchen and teaching your children that love is a place you choose, not a test you pass. The voicemail arrives on a Tuesday, tucked between a dentist reminder and a school robocall about pajama day. I almost miss it. The transcription preview catches my eye. Remember the summer we painted the fence. I press play before I can stop myself. Sweetheart, my mother's voice begins, hushed like a church aisle. I was thinking about the summer you were 10 and your father made that awful paint choice. A soft laugh. Barn red. Do you remember? We ended up streaked from head to toe. You had freckles of red for a week. You were so patient with me. Such a good helper. I lean against the counter, phone warm in my hand. The kitchen is full of the small domestic sounds I trust now. The dishwasher's steady swish, the boys arguing amiably over Lego allegiance in the next room, Malcolm tapping at his laptop. My mother's voice threads through it, a ribbon pulled from a box I thought I'd sealed. I miss you, she says. Simple. Plain. I miss the way we talked on Thursdays about nothing. Do you remember how we used to make popcorn and watch that show with the dancing? You'd try the steps and nearly knock over the lamp. Another fond little breath. You were always my brave girl, Jackie. There is a pause, the sound of her swallowing. I'm not asking for money. I just wanted to remember something good with you. The message ends there, clipped and tender. For a long moment, I do nothing. I let the nostalgia wash over me, the real kind, the feel of July heat on my shoulders, the sticky sweetness of popsicles, the way our bare feet turned the porch boards gray. I see my mother younger, her hair in a scarf, bandana tied at the nape of her neck. Both of us laughing when the paint splattered my cheek like a blessing. It was not all a lie. That's the part that makes this hard. I carry the phone to the table and sit. I listen again, this time with my eyes closed, letting grief have a chair. It sits politely, hands folded, and I can look at it without drowning. I miss something too. Maybe not her, not as she is now, but the girl I was when love still felt uncomplicated. The dishwasher clacks to a halt. In the sudden quiet, I open a new note and start to type. Not a reply to send, just a letter to the ache. Mom, I remember the fence. I remember your scarf and the way you wiped paint off my nose with your thumb and said, "Perfect," even though I'd missed a whole board. I remember Thursdays and popcorn and the lamp that tilted forever after. I also remember Christmas afternoons and the words special like a locked door. I remember those boys instead of their names. I remember paying the tax bill and feeling proud to be useful, then realizing usefulness was the price of admission. I still love you, but I love myself too now. I love Eli's drawings and Noah's comic timing, and the way Malcolm says my name like it's not a favor I've earned. I love the quiet we've found, and the space where my spine doesn't fold to fit someone else's story. If you want to meet me here, in the present, where respect comes first, I could try. But I won't go back to the old house, even if you repainted the fence the right color. I stop. The cursor blinks, patient. My hands are steady. Across the table, the Ledger of Truth folder icon sits like a book on a shelf. I don't open it. I don't need proof right now. I need permission. Malcolm appears in the doorway, reading my face the way he reads weather, alert to small shifts. You okay? My mother left a message, I say. He waits. She remembered something good, I add, and my voice does not break. It thins, but it holds. He nods. That can be true. It can, I say, and so can everything else. He touches my shoulder, a brief anchoring, then lets me be. The boys tumble in to proclaim a Lego truce. Mom, Eli says, we decided both ships can share the space station because space is big enough. Noah nods vigorously, curls bouncing. Sounds like a wise treaty, I say. When they spill back down the hall, I read my letter again. Every line feels right, and every line feels unnecessary to send. Some truths are for me. Some doors close without slamming. I select all and copy the text into a document titled Unsent. Then, after a pause long enough to be sure, I delete the note. Not erased, just shelved where it belongs. The act is both a funeral and a christening. On impulse, I go to the hall closet and pull out the plastic storage bin labeled Paint and Patch. Inside is a brush I haven't used since we moved in, the bristles stiff at the tips, still faintly tinted from the last project. I take it to the backyard, to the small fence that frames the vegetable beds the boys insisted on this spring. One slat is scuffed raw where the hose rubs. I shake the half-empty can and pry it open. The color is not barn red. It is a soft, sensible cedar. I cover the scuff with slow, even strokes, the way my mother taught me, and somewhere between the first and second pass, my breath loosens. The wood drinks the paint. The scar darkens, then disappears. Inside, the phone stays quiet. I don't check it. The fence dries in late light. The boys call from the porch, asking if the cookies from last weekend can count as dessert forever. Malcolm laughs. I answer something like, "We'll negotiate." And we do, because that is what we are building now. Treaties made in daylight. Promises we can keep. The past echoes, but it doesn't instruct. It rings once, clear enough to honor, and then fades back into the larger sky. It's strange, the weight of quiet. I used to think silence meant something was wrong, an argument waiting to happen, A call left unanswered, a door about to slam. Now the quiet sits differently. It hums. It holds. The house feels steady in a way I'd forgotten homes could. The air smells faintly of laundry detergent and coffee grounds. Malcolm hums off key from the living room, scrolling through something on his tablet. The boys are asleep upstairs, a muffled tangle of limbs and stuffed animals. Outside, the street lights buzz like lazy fireflies. And yet, beneath all that calm, there's an ache I can't quite name. I pour a glass of water and sit at the kitchen table, the same spot where I once calculated every dollar sent home. My phone lies face up, screen black. No new messages, no family thread pinging with holiday memes or reminders about birthdays. Even the silence of my parents feels organized, deliberate. They've gone from explosion to absence, and in some ways, this is harder to bear. I scroll through my contacts, pause at my mother's name, then swipe up. The empty space where her shortcut used to be still catches me off guard. Peace, I'm learning, has a price tag. It's not money, it's people. It's versions of yourself you have to let die quietly. Malcolm looks up from the couch. You okay? I think so, I say, just noticing. He tilts his head. Noticing what? How loud it used to be. He sets the tablet down and joins me at the table. You mean them? All of it, I say. The noise, the guilt, the pretending. I didn't realize how much of my life was built around managing someone else's volume. He nods, thoughtful. And now it's quiet. Too quiet sometimes, I admit. I keep expecting the phone to buzz, like my nervous system's waiting for impact. That's withdrawal, he says gently. You were addicted to the chaos. I huff out a laugh. Addicted? That's a word. It's true, he says. When peace first comes, it feels wrong, like silence before a storm. But eventually, you realize the storm was never coming. It already passed. I let that settle. Outside, a car door slams, distant. Somewhere, a dog barks. Ordinary sounds. Harmless. You miss them, he says quietly. I trace a finger along the rim of my glass. I miss the idea of them, the one I kept fixing in my head. He reaches over and takes my hand. His thumb moves in slow circles over my palm. Missing doesn't mean you were wrong to leave. I know, I whisper. It just means I cared. He smiles faintly. Still do. Still do, I echo. For a moment, neither of us speaks. The refrigerator hums. The clock ticks. I think of how different this silence is from the one I grew up in. The silence after being scolded. The silence heavy with apology. This one breathes. A memory surfaces, uninvited. A family dinner from years ago. My parents at one end of the table, Claire chattering, my boys restless in their chairs. My mother laughing too loudly, my father making subtle jabs about city manners. I remember the taste of overcooked roast and the way I smiled through it, as if smiling hard enough could make it love. Now, the memory feels like someone else's life. The noise, the pretense. It was never home. Malcolm squeezes my hand once more, then stands. Come on, he says. Bedtime. I'll be there in a minute. He nods, understanding. He knows I need to finish the thought. When he's gone, I pull my journal from the drawer. The cover's worn, corners soft from use. I flip past old entries, notes about budgets, recipes, fragments of anger, and find a clean page. At the top, I write, the cost of peace. The pen moves slowly, my handwriting looping steady across the page. Peace is not free. It costs the illusion of belonging, the comfort of habit, the approval of those who never learn to love without conditions. It costs noise, and noise feels like safety when you grow up inside it. But peace is worth every echo it silences. I set the pen down. The words stare back, simple and exact. The house settles with a soft creak. Upstairs, Noah laughs in his sleep, one of those half-dream sounds that makes no sense but still warms the air. I close the journal and rest my hand on it. The ache is still there, but now it feels honest, earned. Peace has a cost, yes, but it's the first thing I've paid for that truly belongs to me. The morning begins with light, thin and gold, sliding across the counter like a slow blessing. Eli is already at the kitchen table, hair sticking up like a crown of static, pencil moving furiously across his notebook. Noah sits beside him, mouth full of cereal, humming tunelessly between bites. This is what peace looks like, I think. It's not grand, it doesn't announce itself. It settles quietly and waits to be noticed. "What you working on?" I ask Eli, pouring coffee. He tilts the notebook toward me. It's a drawing of our house. Square, cheerful, slightly crooked. In the top corner, he's written, "Our home," in block letters, and drawn 4 stick figures standing on the lawn. Too tall, too small. The sun wears sunglasses. Our fence, the newly painted one, glows the same soft cedar I brushed on weeks ago. Malcolm appears behind me, still tying his tie. He leans in, kisses the side of my neck. "That's us?" he asks. Eli nods proudly. "Yup, I even put the garden." Noah squints at the picture. "Where's the cookies?" "They're inside the house," Eli says, rolling his eyes. "You can't see them from outside." "Well, you could have drawn smell lines," Noah counters. I laugh. Really laugh. Not the polite version that smooths over tension. Smell lines would have been ambitious. Malcolm chuckles, takes a sip of my coffee without asking, and walks to the back door. "I fixed the latch last night," he says casually. "Doesn't stick anymore." I blink at him. "That latch has been sticking since the day we moved in." "You did?" He shrugs. "Seemed time to stop letting the wind decide whether we're open or closed." It's such a small thing, but it hits somewhere deep. The sound of the door clicking smoothly into place, no jam, no effort, is almost symbolic. I mouth a quiet "thank you." He nods like he's heard it anyway. The boys start arguing over who gets to use the blue crayon. Eli offers it after a pause. "You can use it first," he says. "I'll wait." That small act, so natural now, fills me with a warmth I can't quite name. A few months ago, they would have fought, loud and messy, mirroring the tension they felt from me. Now, the rhythm of their kindness feels inherited, not by blood, but by example. I carry my mug to the window, watch the sun lift over the neighbor's roof. The street glows pale pink, and somewhere, a lawn sprinkler ticks like a metronome. After breakfast, I tell the boys to get ready for school. Backpacks, shoes, arguments about jackets, it's the usual symphony. But as they head out the door, Noah doubles back and wraps his arms around my waist. "Bye, Mom. Don't forget to be happy." "I'll try," I whisper, hugging him tight. When the door closes, the house exhales again. I pour a second cup of coffee and sit where Eli left his drawing. The page is still warm from his hands. Underneath it, I slide out a clean sheet of paper and begin to write. "Dear Eli and Noah, one day, when you're older and wondering why I stopped answering certain phone calls, or why our family pictures changed, I want you to know this. It wasn't anger. It was love. Just the kind that looks different from what I was taught. I grew up believing love meant staying quiet, helping no matter the cost, being useful instead of visible. But you've taught me another kind. The kind that listens when someone says no. The kind that leaves space instead of filling every silence with noise. If I did my job right, you'll never have to unlearn those lessons. You'll know that peace isn't the absence of sound, it's the presence of respect. It's the room between people where truth can breathe. When you build your own homes one day, I hope they're loud with laughter and quiet with trust. I hope the doors don't stick. I hope the fences are painted the right color the first time. Love, Mom. I read it twice, then fold the paper and slip it into the notebook where I keep recipes and report cards, the little archive of our life. They'll find it someday, maybe long after they need it. When Malcolm returns from dropping them off, he finds me still at the table, hands around my coffee mug. "Writing?" he asks. "Something for later," I say. He nods, sits beside me, and unfolds the newspaper. The sound of the page turning feels like punctuation, quiet and complete. The sunlight creeps further across the table until it touches the edge of Eli's drawing. The stick figures glow, the sunbeam warming their crayon faces. For a heartbeat, the house feels suspended between memory and promise. This is our inheritance, I think. Not money, not tradition, just quiet, the kind that leaves space for laughter and room to breathe, and that finally feels like enough. It's late afternoon when the doorbell rings, a sharp, decisive sound that cuts through the calm. I'm not expecting anyone. The boys are at a friend's house. Malcolm's still at work. I wipe my hands on a dish towel, hesitate, and glance through the window. It's Claire. She stands at the edge of the porch, wrapped in a wool coat too heavy for the weather, her eyes hidden behind oversized sunglasses. She looks smaller than I remember, or maybe I've just grown. I open the door halfway. "Claire." "Hey," she says softly, voice careful. "Can we talk?" The last time she stood here, she left a trail of anger in her wake. But today, something in her tone sounds different. Less fire, more fatigue. I nod and step aside. Inside, she looks around as if expecting ghosts. The house is tidy, sun filtering through the sheer curtains. Eli's drawing still hangs on the fridge, magnets shaped like stars holding it in place. "Nice place," she murmurs. "Peaceful." "It is," I say, and mean it. She sits at the table, folds her hands. "Mom's not doing great," she begins. "She misses you." I wait, letting the words hang. "She keeps saying she just wants to see you. The boys, too. Says she won't bring up money or anything. She just wants her daughter back." Her voice trembles on the last word, but I can hear the old rhythm underneath. Guilt woven into love. It's practiced, almost tender. I sit across from her. "Claire," I say evenly, "I don't doubt she misses me. But she doesn't miss me. She misses what I gave." "That's not fair." "It's honest." Claire exhales sharply. "You really think you're the only one who got hurt? They're broken over this." "Broken isn't the same as accountable." Her jaw tightens. "You've changed," she says, the familiar refrain. But this time, it sounds like observation, not accusation. I meet her eyes. I hope so. We sit in silence for a while. The clock ticks. Outside, a neighbor's lawnmower hums, steady as a heartbeat. "I thought I was coming here to fix things," Claire admits finally. "But I don't even know what that means anymore." "Maybe it means letting them fix themselves," I say, "without using me as glue." Her gaze softens, searching my face for the sister she remembers. "Mom said forgiveness is all it takes. She said family should forgive. Forgiveness isn't a key to my door," I say quietly. "It's just how I travel now." Claire blinks, as if trying to catch up to the words. "So you forgive them?" "I do," I answer. "But forgiveness doesn't erase distance. It just removes the weight of hate." She leans back, deflated. "They won't understand that." "I know," I say, "but I'm done teaching lessons they refuse to learn." We sit there for another minute. The sunlight shifts, sliding off the floorboards. Claire's hands tremble slightly. I push a glass of water toward her. She accepts it, drinks, and then looks at me. Really looks. "You seem happy," she says, a small, bewildered smile tugging at her lips. "I am. I didn't think you could be, without them." "Neither did I admit." She stands, smoothing her coat. "Maybe someday, maybe," I interrupt gently. "But not today." Her mouth closes around the rest of her thought. She nods once, then walks to the door. On the threshold, she pauses. "Mom still keeps that photo of us on the mantel, The one from your graduation. She says it's her favorite. That's good, I say. Let her keep it. Memories don't need maintenance. She hesitates, then steps outside. The air smells faintly of fallen leaves and cold rain. She waves once before heading to her car. I watch her drive away. The taillights flicker at the corner, then vanish into the dusk. For a moment, I stand there, half in shadow, half in light. The ache returns, but it's clean now, not jagged. I close the door, twist the new latch Malcolm fixed. It clicks easily, no resistance. Back in the kitchen, I pour myself a cup of tea and sit at the table. The silence returns, but it feels different this time. Not empty, not waiting, just mine. Outside, a breeze stirs the trees. Somewhere, a leaf lets go, drifting quietly to the ground. Rain begins as a rumor, soft on the roof, a hush over the street. The sky clearing its throat. I'm at the sink, sleeves pushed to my elbows, warm water running over a stack of plates that glitter with soap. Outside, the maple's leaves shiver, darker at the edges, the first drops coaxing the dust to let go. I've always measured my life by the weather inside a house. There were years when water meant emergency. Burst pipes, overflowing sinks, the frantic slap of towels on tile. Panic disguised as productivity. Tonight, the water keeps its own kind tempo. The faucet's steady thread, the rain's gentle percussion, the whisper of sponge across ceramic. Not urgent, not a warning, just sound. I rinse a plate and stand it to dry. The window above the sink fogs at the corners, my breath softly clouding the glass. Somewhere upstairs, Eli's drawer sticks and releases. Noah laughs in a dream. The rain grows franker, a curtain instead of a veil. The rhythm lulls me into a place where thoughts unspool. Slow, obedient. Healing isn't a ladder, I think. It's the water cycle. Evaporation, condensation, precipitation, collection. Some days I float. Some days I rise and gather. Some nights I fall. I shut off the faucet, listen. The house exhales, then hands me the rain. It fills the quiet without crowding it. Water used to be a scold in my mother's hands, hot, efficient, transactional. Head back, she'd say, tilting me over the kitchen sink, fingers pressing at my scalp while lukewarm water chased shampoo from my hair. Hold still, we don't have all night. I'd squeeze my eyes shut, water pricking my ears, and wait for the towel's rough absolution. Not every memory is sharp. Some are soft-edged, glowing in places you can't touch. There was also that July when the backyard flooded in an afternoon storm, and Mom let me run barefoot through puddles. We shrieked at the cold, skirts plastered to our legs, rain flattening the world into something simple. For 20 minutes, she forgot to hurry. For 20 minutes, I forgot to be good. The dishwasher beeps, a satisfied chirp. I load the last plates, flick it on, and wipe the counter in slow arcs. Rain frets harder at the gutters. Streetlight halos pulse like jellyfish through the wet dark. Malcolm appears in the doorway, barefoot, sleeves loose at his wrists. "You're listening," he says, like he's caught me reading a favorite paragraph again. "It's different tonight," I tell him. "How?" "Water used to pull me under. Now it holds me." He steps closer, palms warm on the cool plane of my forearms. "You look lighter," he says, "like something set you down." Maybe I set myself down. I smile a little. Tonight feels like collection. He knows the reference immediately. Eli's diorama. "Then we should make a jar for it," he says, teasing gently. Label, "One Quiet Evening." I'd hoard it, I admit, open it on the loud days. We stand there, listening. He rests his chin on the top of my head. "You don't have to make meaning out of every sound," he murmurs. "I know," I say, "but sometimes the sounds ask to be named." We fall into the ordinary. "Did you email the field trip permission?" "Yes." "How's the grant draft?" "Getting there." "Should we fix the drip in the upstairs bath?" "This weekend." Survival turns to living one chore at a time. A flash of summer returns without warning. Me, small and barefoot on the lawn, my mother's laugh swallowed by rain. I let it pass through without bargaining for more. Not all tenderness has to be redeemed. Come outside, I say suddenly. Malcolm lifts a brow. In this? Yes. We step onto the porch. The air is cooler by 10 honest degrees. Rain writes quick script across the driveway, gathers at the curb, runs on toward the storm drain. The world smells like iron and leaf and sidewalk. For a heartbeat, I hover at the threshold, the old discipline twitching. Shoes, coat. What will the neighbors think? Then I go. The rain is an uncomplicated chorus. It beads on my eyelashes and slides off my jaw. My hair surrenders, curls collapsing into damp ribbons. The first shock gives way to a bloom of warmth under my skin, like I've come back to a language I forgot I spoke. Malcolm laughs, the sound low and delighted, and steps down beside me. All right, he concedes, face upturned. This is good. We stand there, not talking. Cars move past, slow and respectful. Across the street, a porch light clicks on, then off. The maple drips with a patience I envy. I tip my head back and let the rain find every part of me. Temples, throat, collarbone, the thin skin at the wrist where pulse touches air. The ache that's lived under my ribs loosens, breaks into smaller pieces, dissolves. Grief still trickles. It's allowed to, but it doesn't rule. It's weather. It comes, it goes. I stay. After a while, I look at Malcolm. Water purls on his lashes. He looks young, and then he looks like the man who has stood in every storm with me. I press my palm to his chest, feel the steady drum there, heavier than rain. We survived, I say. He shakes his head gently. We started living. The difference lands true. When we go in, we drip on the mat, laughing at the mess. I fetch towels from the laundry room, fresh, clean, no scold, and we rub the water from our shoulders, our faces, our hair. Inside, the dishwasher hums. Upstairs, a bed creaks. A child turns over, still easy in sleep. Back at the sink, I pull the window open a few inches and listen again. Rain sings on. The kitchen smells like cotton and steam. In the fogged glass, my reflection finds me. Damp, bright-eyed, unafraid. Healing isn't linear. It's circular. It returns like weather until the pattern changes, and you recognize the season by how gently it speaks. Tonight, the water is a benediction. The morning feels like an exhale. The air is crisp but kind. Sunlight threading through the blinds in long, deliberate stripes. I move from room to room, opening the windows one by one. The hinges sigh, the screens tremble, and a soft wind drifts in, carrying the smell of wet leaves and wood smoke. The house breathes with me. It's been weeks since the rain. The ground outside is dry again, though the maple still holds a few stubborn yellow leaves, refusing, it seems, to let go too soon. Inside, the quiet has changed texture. It isn't dense anymore. It has edges, movement, a pulse. I'm halfway through folding laundry when the mail slot clinks. A thin envelope slides onto the floor. Pale cream with looping cursive on the front. My mother's handwriting. For a moment, I freeze. Reflex, not fear. My hands still know that script, those curving L's and measured slants. I pick it up, weigh it in my palm. It's light. No return address, just a holiday stamp in my name. At the kitchen table, I open it carefully, tearing along the edge so quietly it feels like a ceremony. Inside, a store-bought card, the kind with embossed pine trees and glitter that catches the light. Season's greetings, it says in gold. Inside, a single line in her handwriting, wishing you and your family well. Nothing more. No apology, no accusation, no hooks. I stare at it for a while, waiting for the old rush, the confusion, the pull, the guilt. But nothing rises, just a steady, grounded quiet. It's not reconciliation, it's not even warmth, but it's peace on paper, something neutral, human. Maybe that's what healing looks like from their side. Silence trimmed into politeness. Malcolm walks in, adjusting his watch. Mail? Card from my mom. I say. He studies my face, cautious. You okay? I am. He waits for the rest, then realizes there isn't any. What's it say? I hand it to him. He reads, nods once, and slides it back across the table. That's surprisingly civil. Yeah, I say, smiling faintly. Like weather finally deciding to just rain instead of thunder. He laughs under his breath. What do you want to do with it? I think for a second. Put it on the fridge. His eyebrows lift. Really? It's part of the story, I say. Doesn't mean I'm going back to it. Just means I'm not pretending it didn't happen. I grab a small magnet, one of Eli's, shaped like a crooked star, and pin the card beside the boy's drawings. It looks almost decorative there, harmless. For a long moment, we stand in front of it, the morning light glinting off the gold lettering. Malcolm reaches for my hand. You did it, you know, he says softly. Did what? Built a life that doesn't need an apology to keep going. The words settle deep. I look at the card again, then at the window. Outside, wind nudges the branches. The air smells of cinnamon and cold. I move closer and push the window open wider. The breeze lifts the curtain, carrying a thin shimmer of dust into the light. It dances there before vanishing. I close my eyes, let the wind touch my face. It doesn't sting. It doesn't chill. It moves through me like a conversation with no agenda. Behind me, Malcolm starts talking about Thanksgiving plans, the grocery list, whether to invite his colleagues' family, if we should try that cranberry orange recipe again. His voice threads through the air, grounding and familiar. Let's do the lake afterward, I say. Even if it's cold, the boys will love it. Deal, he says. He kisses my temple and heads toward the living room. I stay by the window a little longer, hands resting on the sill. The wind tugs at my hair, brushing strands across my cheeks. Once, noise was the proof of life. I used to equate movement with meaning, chaos with love. But standing here now, between sunlight and shadow, I understand something simpler. Stillness doesn't mean absence. It means arrival. Through the reflection in the glass, I see both the yard outside and myself inside, merged, not separate. The woman who fought, the one who fled, the one who learned to stay, they all fit now. Somewhere down the street, a neighbor's wind chime sings. It's out of tune, but beautiful in its own way. I smile. The air moves through the room, stirring curtains, papers, and the edges of memory. The windows stay open. And for the first time, I don't brace for the draft. I let it in. Frost turns the lawn into a field of quiet stars. I see it when I open the door before dawn. The grass edged in light. The mailbox wearing a thin crown. Even the porch rail jeweled with breath that forgot it was air. The cold meets my face and does not sting. It wakes. I step out in slippers and pull Malcolm's sweater tighter around my shoulders. The street is a hush of parked cars and sleeping windows. Somewhere, a newspaper lands with a soft thwip. The world holds its breath for the first light. A year ago, I would have mistaken this stillness for absence. Now, it feels like beginning. The porch boards creak in the familiar places as I lean on the post and watch the sky trade navy for gray. On the lawn, 2 small footprints from last night's quick dash to the trash bin have frozen into relief. Noah's. I can tell by the way the toes turn out. The prints look like pauses, not missteps, the marks of someone small but certain moving through a world that used to loom. I think of the ledger closed in a folder on my laptop, of the photos rehung, of the door latching smooth, of rain rinsing a house that finally learned to breathe, the cost of peace, the inheritance of quiet, the weight of water. All of it adds up to this. I am here and the ground holds. Inside, the house stirs. A pipe knocks once. The heater sighs to life. I picture the boys tangled in their blankets. Eli half off the pillow, hands splayed over his notebook. Noah curled around his stuffed fox like a stubborn comma. They do not wake to dread anymore. The mornings used to belong to my phone, the day already claimed by other people's needs before our feet hit the floor. Now the day waits for us. The screen door whispers open. Malcolm steps out barefoot because he never learns, and stands close enough that our shoulders touch. Cold, he murmurs, amused and chiding at once. Beautiful, I counter. We look at the yard together. Frost has traced every blade with the same attention, no favorites. The maple is nearly bare. One last leaf clings high up, gold as a coin caught in a fork of gray. What's the plan for today? He asks. Small things, I say. Pancakes, a walk to the little lake if the sun warms up. Maybe we finally hang that shelf in the hallway. Small things, he echoes, pleased. Tomorrow? More of the same, I say. On purpose. We stand without speaking for a while. The sun edges up, hesitant, then decisive. Light spills across the street and slides over our grass. The frost catches it with a soft gasp. First the rail glitters, then the mailbox, then the footprints brighten before darkening, softening, letting go. The thaw arrives without apology, only the quiet joy of returning. Do you remember, I say, how my father used to end every fight with, "Tomorrow's another day"? Malcolm glances at me, wary of old ghosts. It used to sound like dismissal, I continue, like the reset button you press when you don't want to change. I breathe in the cold, out the steam. I'd like to. I'd like to keep the sentence and change its job. How so? Tomorrow's another day, I say, and I get to shape it. He smiles. There she is. A sound rises behind us, a thump, then patter, then the sprint of socks. The door cracks and two sleepy faces appear at knee height. Is it snow? Noah asks, eyes enormous. Frost, I say, snow's cousin. Can we breathe dragon smoke? Eli demands. Always, Malcolm says, demonstrating with a foggy huff. The boys stumble onto the porch, laughing at their own breath as if they invented winter. Noah presses a finger to the rail and draws a clean line through the white. Eli announces he can see the air thinking. Back inside, the kitchen takes us in. Pancake batter blooms in a bowl. I cut bananas while Noah counts chocolate chips with exaggerated seriousness. Malcolm flips the first round too early and the edges wrinkle. Eli declares the lopsided ones taste best because imperfection lets the syrup in. We eat in pajamas at the table, plates warming our hands, the window brightening by degrees. The holiday card on the fridge reflects a thin stripe of new light. It looks smaller each day. After breakfast, while the boys build a fort out of chairs and blankets, Malcolm and I stand in the hallway with a level and a pencil. We mark the studs. We lift the shelf. We adjust. Left hair, he says. Your left hair, I correct, and we laugh because we know now which way that is for each other. The screws bite into wood, the board settles. The bubble centers itself. The shelf holds. In the afternoon, we walk to the lake. The path is stiff with frost in the shady places and slick with melt where the sun has laid a hand. The boys throw stones that skip twice and sink with tiny crowns. On the far bank, a heron lifts in slow motion like a thought taking shape. We breathe. We keep going. At dusk, I step onto the porch again alone. The frost has gone, the lawn back to green, but I can still see where the shine was. The day tucks itself around the edges of roofs. A single window glows down the street. Somewhere, someone practices a piano scale and gets it wrong in a way that makes me love them. I think of all the versions of me it took to arrive here. The girl under the faucet, the young wife apologizing by habit, the mother counting transfers like penance, the woman in the rain learning her own weather. None of them were wasted. They are the scaffolding I stepped down from to stand on my own porch in borrowed sweater and bare ankles, warm from the inside out. Tomorrow is another day. Not a threat, not an escape hatch. An invitation to repeat the small things that built this life. Yeses I choose, nos I trust, doors that latch, windows that open, water that blesses and passes on. Behind me, the boys shout from their fort, "Mom!" We made a skylight! Malcolm groans like a man who just found out the living room is a cardboard city again. I smile into the cooling air. I go back inside. The door closes easily. The light keeps spreading.